You might remember this poor little battered table that I made over a few weeks ago. It was probably a few months ago now, the Beachy bedside table, and it's one of my favourite little ones. It's so pretty. I absolutely adore it and I love the colour, but it hasn't sold. So in this video I'm going to do a bit of a makeover on it. What I thought I might do is decorate it, make it a bit more fancy with decals. So I went on Canva and I got this design and I did a mock-up on the front of it in Canva, so I thought, yes, that looks really pretty. I thought I'd go ahead with that. And I took the design and put it into my Cricut design space, and then I cut it out on my vinyl. I love weeding, I really do, and this was really easy to weed because it's a big design. With the more intricate ones it takes a little bit longer, but I really enjoy weeding any excuse I can get to do these decals, and I was pleased with it. So it pretty well looks the same as what I had mocked up in the Canva program. And so the first thing would be to take off the handles on this piece, and I'll just set them aside. Because I didn't intend doing this to this piece, I intended just selling it, obviously. I always wax my pieces after I've painted them, and so I had to get rid of some of the wax, or as much of it as I could. And with just sanding, it's really hard to do. You can see how it goes. It just sort of clumps all together and it's really hard to get off. And because I didn't want to ruin this piece, because I wasn't wanting to take all the paint off and repaint it, I just sort of left it at that. I sanded off as much as I could, and that was it pretty much. So I'm now transferring the design onto the front of the drawer, and what I use for transfer paper is just normal contact paper that you use for books and things. The only problem with it though, I find, is it can be quite sticky, but I know you can get different strengths of contact paper too. So if you do, I'd advise just maybe to get something not quite so sticky. If I reuse this piece, it will be fine, but yeah, just a little bit sticky to begin with. So once I had pulled that off, then I applied it to the front of the drawer. Also here you can see that little bulge, and that was because the transfer tape wasn't down flat enough, and there was a little bit of a bubble, and that's what can happen there, so you've got to be a bit careful. So the first time I put this on the drawer, I found, like, at the base there, it just was not sitting right in between the little ridges at the end, so I had to actually cut it down a little bit. So I went back and I just snipped off 1/2 centimeter from the top and one side. So this was a lot better. It fitted in perfectly actually. So I pushed it down and I started to burnish it with my little Cricut burnishing thing. And which just, all this does is makes this sticker stick to the surface of whatever you're putting it onto. The problem is, like I said before, with the wax, getting all the wax off, on top of that the stickiness of the contact paper / transfer tape, and it just would not stick. It just kept pulling straight off. So I thought, what am I going to do now? I pondered for a while, and then I thought maybe I could apply this whole panel to the side. I just wasn't sure. Instead of applying the whole panel to the side, I thought though I might just cut out a few single little flowers and apply them to the side of the drawers. It was easy enough to use a transfer tape to do this because I wasn't putting it on the painted waxy surface, so I just went ahead and did that to each of the drawers. So that gave me an idea on what to do to the front. So since the vinyl wouldn't stick to the actual front of the drawers using the transfer tape, I thought this design is big enough to just peel off each flower individually. They're sort of like a big sticker really. In some designs I couldn't do this. You'd need the transfer tape because they're more intricate and there are too many little bits and pieces, but this particular one I could, and that's the only way I thought I could salvage my idea of putting this decal on the front. So instead of putting the transfer tape on this printout, I just peeled the actual flowers straight off and I stuck them on by hand. And even though the design wasn't exactly the same, the flowers weren't in exactly the same spot, it didn't really matter because it was more of a random design anyway, and it really wasn't noticeable. I made sure though I burnished it more, each individual flower I rubbed over to make sure that they would stick properly to the front of the drawer, not peel off. I decided to change the drawer handles, and so I used some old pine handles. I had them to come off something else, but I had to use the actual screw for the rattan handles I had on there because they wouldn't fit. So I'm actually sanding the handles back, each of the handles I'm sanding them back, and I will whitewash them, and then I will actually apply some wax to both of the handles. The top handle was fine putting it on. It sort of was still a little bit loose. When it came to the handle that I was putting down the bottom though, the screw, there was something wrong with it, and the other screw I had originally for these handles didn't fit either, like they didn't work. It just didn't tighten the handle up enough. And then I thought I'd use some hard as nails glue. Then I panicked and I thought, no, I'm not going to do that because what if it wrecks it and I can't get it off because this set's as hard as nails. So in the end, after all that work, I just put the rattan handles back on. But which do you think would have looked better, the rattan or the whitewash ones? I'm just not sure. I think the whitewash would have looked nice. I decided, because these tables hadn't sold, I thought I might make little accessories, so I thought I might, with it, not sell as such, but just give away some little coasters. So I printed out some more flowers, just smaller ones, and I had some coasters already painted in a pastel pink and a pastel green, and I thought that sort of matched the pastel blue of the table. So to make them go, I just added some little flower decals onto them, and I thought they looked really cute. I could do this all day. I could stick decals on things. I love doing it. It's just, yeah, really satisfying to me. I think it's satisfying doing it, and it's also satisfying watching it too. I tossed up whether to line the drawers of this bedside table, but I think the timber was actually really pretty in this, and I thought I'd do something different by just putting a quote decal and then using the leftover little flowers I just printed for the coasters. And because it was the flower design in the front, I thought I'd take a few lines from Miley Cyrus's song Flowers and just stick one line in the top drawer and one line in the bottom drawer, and I just put some little flowers in at random around that. other table that I had done just before the Beachy bedside one, the blue one, and it hadn't sold either. I'd had a few inquiries about this one, people asking if it was a set, and I said no. Another lady got in touch and asked if she could have a look inside the drawers because I hadn't put any pictures of that, and I sent them to her but I didn't hear back. So I thought I might just change this up a little bit by putting a liner in the drawers and also putting a decal on the side of the drawers as well, just to make them a little bit more special. I wasn't sure which paper to put in. Both were from Kmart that I got on special for $10 for a roll of 10 meters, which was excellent. It was a great buy, and I sort of thought at one stage I could cut out a little bit of this design to put on the side. In the end I didn't do that. I did a cricket design on it. So this was the design I did on each of the drawers on both sides. Just to remember though, when you are doing a design like this that's not symmetrical, half of them have to be printed or cut opposite, like in reverse. So just remember that. I guess you don't have to, I guess you could put it on the opposite way, but to make it look more uniform, and yeah, remember to cut it out in the reverse. And like the other blue table, I also did a little coaster to go. I think I might just do that with all of them. That could be my thing, my point of difference. Make some little coasters just to give away complimentary, because they come in handy, I guess, you know, if you're having a cup of tea in bed. These are the tables finished, and just an update, I put them both back up on the Facebook Marketplace, and this one I sold a week later. I'd reduced the price of both of them to $75, but I'm just glad this one sold and it has a nice home now. As for my little blue one, it never sold. I ended up taking it off probably about a month later. I've just put it back on in the hope that it will sell. I haven't had, oh, someone actually got in touch and said it was absolutely gorgeous, but she didn't say she wanted to buy it. But yeah, I don't know why it hasn't sold. If you've got any ideas, do you like the original? Do you like the flower? Just let me know what you think. Thanks so much for watching, guys, and I'll see you in next week's video. Bye for now.
It's kind of funny that the more we pass time, the more we need to set them rewind. And 19 was the year I had to leave you, but now I'm seeing all the signs. Is this really happening? I can't believe it's true. I'm just as surprised as you.